Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to be discussing the 4 powers of the Magus, so stay tuned. Okay, so in a recent video of mine on talking about Conway's dragon ethics and how they're not really ethics, but they are good rules that can be used in Magick, I made reference to something called the 4 powers of the Magus. And I have gotten tons of emails about them because I did say I'd probably do a video on them. And apparently you guys really were interested. So we're going to talk a little bit about the 4 powers of the Magus, what they are not, and where they came from, and just a general idea of how you might be able to use them if you so choose. Now, one thing is, they are called the powers of the Magus. A lot of people immediately jump to telekinesis, pyrokinesis. They jump to these things that they view as power. Not necessarily. See, those are really flashy things, but the powers of the Magus go far deeper than something just as simple as that. And they are something that many magicians would say you should meditate on often. I have honestly seen these used throughout my career. You sometimes see them referred to even as the witch's pyramid. But they first showed up, or was first articulated by the French occultist Ephilius Levi. I'll put the name here because I know I ain't pronouncing that right. Anytime it gets into French, I mess it up. In his book, Transcendental Magic. I personally do not have a copy of that book anymore. I don't even know if it's available. I probably should have looked to see before doing the video, but it does predate even Crowley's works, but in Crowley's works, Crowley also makes mention of these. And at one point in time, Crowley even added a 5th one, which we will talk about that one. But most people really don't use the 5th one all that much. So what are they? Okay, let's go ahead and jump straight into this one, because this is a pretty simple topic today. The 4 powers of the Magus are, and as follows: to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent. Okay? So let's go over these one at a time. What do these mean? Why are they there? To know. To know is to know your intention and to have knowledge. It's not just to know what you're doing. It's not just to study and learn and gain knowledge. It is those things. But it's also to know where you're going, why you're going there. You need to have a definitive knowledge of why you're doing something. So many people get annoyed because kids are constantly asking, why? Honestly, to know, you need to be able to answer those whys. And the more of those whys you can answer, the more you know on your path, the more sure-footed your path will be. And the more sure-footed you are, the better your magic is going to work. Period. It's always going to help out in those manners. Now, philosophically, a lot of people associate the power of the Magus to know with the element of air. And that makes sense, because it is one where it's talking about, you should always strive to learn. You should always be seeking knowledge. There's always more to learn. There's always room to improve. You've never fully mastered anything. Know what you're doing always. Make sure you're always aware of what you're doing and make sure you know it. And it also encourages us in our practice to consider things from every angle, or at least every angle possible. And try to make sure that we know for a fact what we're doing keeps our lives in balance and we're not throwing things out of whack in a way that might cause harm or unbalance or discord within our lives. That is a problem many practitioners fall into. Alright, the next one is to dare. To dare is really to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. So many people try to stay inside their comfort bubble while practicing magic. That really doesn't work. Now, it is true that within inside a certain comfort bubble you can do magic, but you're not really going to find growth, and you're not going to find results past where you started. Because as long as you stay in that comfort zone, you don't grow, and you stay where you start, but it's comfortable. So to dare is what allows the practitioner and the magician to truly push themselves forward into that growth, to achieve whatever it is that they are seeking to achieve. You have to dare to do the magic, and you have to dare to follow it up with true, real action, something truly tangible. Philosophically speaking, to dare, they associate with water. And again, that makes sense. Water deals with a lot of emotion. Stepping outside those comfort zones, taking that chance, taking a risk, that is an emotional thing for anyone every time we do it. And that is why water makes a great association here. It is very easy because you have to jump in not knowing what's below the surface. But that is how you grow. That is how you increase your power. That is how you increase your manifestations. That is how you achieve your goals in all things, not just magic. Alright, the next one, to will. Some people honestly try to say to will and to dare are the same. I don't really see it. Daring takes, you're taking a chance. You're stepping into an unknown. To will is to literally push your will, your desires forward to manifest. This is something that is driven by your desires and your passion. Because of that, philosophically, to will is associated with fire. And it really brings all aspect of your being to direct things to your goal. It is your sheer will. Many magicians find that if they just go in and half-ass a ritual, they get very little results. But if they really put all they have into it, they really push their will, they really put their focus on it, and they put a driving force behind it, they know that their will manifest, and they can get what they want or what they need when they do a spell because their will is driving it. And will is a matter of confidence. It's not faith. It's not blind. It is something that you know for a fact will work. And to will and to have that confidence, that understanding, and that power in your craft, that is true power in and of itself. There are many interpretations of these. These are just very brief summaries. Let me be clear. These are brief summaries. One person I know said you can't just do a spell. You can't gather your candles. You can't light it. You can't burn it. And just because you go through a process and say a few words and light the candles, you can't expect a result. You actually have to push your will and your energy into the working you're doing to get a result. That is the will. That is what most people today, I believe, have started calling intent. They say push your intent into it. Your intent, what we call today intent, is your will. You are manifesting your will. What is it you want? What is the goal? Where are you going with this? And you're pushing that drive into it when it comes to will. However, there are mages out there who say intent's not enough. And I would agree. Intent is not enough. You can intend a lot of things. You really can intend a lot of things. But unless you have the raw will to actually pursue it, the intent's not enough. You have to have the will to drive the intent. So for me, I actually do view intent and will separately because of that reason. I think will drives intent, but I do not think they're necessarily the same. Just my 2 cents. And, of course, the fourth power of the Magus, to keep silent. To keep silent is not saying that you cannot speak about the workings that you do. It's not saying that you can't talk about your practice. It's not saying that you can't share your practice with other people. You can't let people know that you're a practitioner. I mean, if that's the case, I broke that all over the place because I'm up here on YouTube. No, it is talking more about, again, that kind of privacy concept. You want to keep your workings quiet and silent, not because it's wrong to talk about it, but sometimes if we talk about the workings that we're doing, even unintentionally, other people's disbelief could energetically work against the working we're doing and make it harder to manifest those results. So it's more about being picky, being selective of who you trust that information to, because of that. And let it play out. Now, what many magicians that I know do is they'll run through the research, they'll run through the testing, they'll keep the notes, they'll wait till everything reaches its conclusion, manifestation or not. Then they'll discuss it with their colleagues, get advice on how to rework it and perhaps improve it, or share the results so their colleagues can try it as well, stuff like that. I do this myself a lot. I do share some of the things I work on a regular basis with people, but those aren't things that I'd put on priority or as uber important. The very important stuff I don't talk about. I keep it to myself 90% of the time. And the other 10% I only talk about with the absolute most trusted people in my life who I know no matter what, they're always going to want me to succeed and grow and move forward. Now, to keep silent is associated with earth, which makes sense. The earth is quiet. It is still. Now, I don't remember it or not, but if we didn't, will is associated with fire because of that whole emotional passion and drive. Just to make sure we got that in case I forgot it. I don't remember. But again, this is not a call to hide your practice from the world. That is not it. Do not take it that way. So many people have interpreted that way, and that is inaccurate. Knowledge and information is meant to be shared. It's just think about who you share it with and share it tactically so that when you share it, it can't be used against you. Make sure that when the working is out there, when it's manifesting, when it's doing what it's doing, make sure it's taken hold and effect before you give others the chance to work against it, even unknowingly. And I'll be honest, 98% of the time, if anyone works against you, it's unknowingly. There's not a bunch of people out there trying to just shut you down and keep you down. That's not really how it works. That's a lot of fear-mongering that goes around in the magical community these days. But, much like we did talk about in the Dragon Ethics, there's a lot that can be achieved just by keeping silent. A little bit of silence can go a very long way in helping you achieve your goals. Now, those are the 4 powers of the Magus. Now, we did say Crowley added one, and in some of Crowley's works, you've seen it. What is this one? This one is Crowley added was to go. This is one I'm not overly familiar with. I don't really use it that much. But I figured since we're going to do this video, it bared a bit of talking about, don't it? And to go was added by Crowley as a connection to the element of spirit. This is what... Let's see, how would I phrase this? So, what Crowley was trying to state, to my understanding with this one, was that once one has mastered the 4 powers, that they needed to have the drive and the ability, if not the duty, to go out and use them, to actually apply them to the world and their life and the lives of those around them, to actually manifest and actually make the world a better place. Other forms and traditions have often referred to this 5th power of the Magus as to imagine, because it's to go out there, use these 4 powers to imagine a better world and to start shaping it. Some have referred to it as to love. And sometimes the 5th power, weirdly, I don't understand this statement, but many say the 5th power is just to represent their tradition. I don't really understand that statement. Every time I've seen it, no one's ever explained it to me, per se. If anyone out there understands what that statement necessarily means, I mean, if it means as part of representing Crowley's tradition, that would make a bit more sense. Since Crowley was all about getting out there, applying and making change, and definitely experiencing the world and magics, I do understand that. But just to broad blanket say the 5th power is your tradition, that's a little wonkier. But now on the sides of to go out there, get out there, experience the world, apply what you've learned, and actually make a difference, that makes sense. To imagine a better world and use what you've learned to try and manifest that better world, that makes sense. And to love. Honestly, one of the greatest driving factors in the world, for better or worse, has often been love. And I do say worse. A lot of people want to think love is just 100% groovy. But more wars have been started over love than anything else. Don't forget that. And more pain has been caused by love than anything else. So, love's not necessarily always a positive. It can bite you in the rear. But it is also a wonderful thing when it's there. So, that is Crowley's 5th rule that he added. Like I said, I see where he's coming from. I see its place. And I find it a fascinating ideal. But part of me almost feels like to dare and to will already covered this. And let me explain that. This is to go out in the world and make that change that you see, correct? Well, that takes some brass to get out there and do that. You got to have the, courage to get out there and go into the world and do that. That's to dare. You have to be willing to dare to go out there and make those changes. You have to be willing to dare to fail. And if you haven't already told, you have to have the will to push yourself to do that to begin with. So it takes the willingness and the courage to dare to do it, but it also takes the raw will to get up and go do the work. And sometimes that's hard to do because it is a lot easier to turn a blind eye to something and just let someone else do it. It takes true will of a practitioner to get out there and actually do the work to manifest the change, to better the world as they see. And that is a hard thing to do, especially when you know you're probably walking that path alone. Even if thousands are walking the same path with you to achieve the same goal, you may never meet them, so you will walk alone. And that is a scary thought. So I personally think to will and to dare actually already cover this one. And that's one of the reasons I don't really use it, and it feels just kind of arbitrarily plucked on there to include the spirit element. But I do like to keep it written down in my journal and my notes, and I do occasionally meditate on it because I do like to meditate on it in hopes of one day perhaps gaining greater insight on it. Just because I don't fully understand it, just because I fully don't see the point in it, doesn't mean it doesn't have value, and perhaps there's not some secret hidden behind it that I have yet to see. So because of that, I do still actually include it in many of my notes and do meditate on it often. But so far at this time, I do still feel to will and to dare does have these covered. Now, that we know what the powers of the Magus are, we've done a brief summary of them, what do you do with them? Well, I would say meditate on them, actually. Meditate on them and ask yourself how you can apply these concepts to your practice and how they can help you to grow in your practice. And make sure you're keeping good notes on these meditations. You'll find a lot of insight in them. You really, really will. I've actually heard of people doing shadow work, focusing on the powers of the Magus, because they are having an issue. Sometimes to will and to dare are sometimes the hardest ones. And sometimes to know is. Some people have real trouble with knowing because they will learn information that doesn't agree with their viewpoint. And that troubles them from time to time. And they will have to wrestle with that in some way and make peace with it and find a balance. But do take the time. Sit down and meditate on these. Even if it's just 2 or 3 meditations per one, I would highly recommend meditating on them. And focus your meditation on what they mean to you. Not what they mean to Drake, not what they mean to Aleister Crowley. Ask yourself what they mean to you and how they and that meaning can be applied to your practice to help you grow and go further in your practice. Give that a try. And definitely share your results below. We love to hear about your results. And if you have any questions, drop them below. I will try to answer them. Also, be sure to join us Friday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do live streams. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a like. It helps the channel out a lot, lets YouTube know you like the work we're doing, and helps us get more information out to all the seekers. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to turn on notifications so that you're notified anytime we release a new video or we go live. And until next time, I'm Drake, and this has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take it easy.